Everyone, I'm Dino Bidala, and welcome to tonight's Dino Bidala Show on SiriusXM Channel 127, Monday, July 12th. As always, I'm here to be your BFF. And look, the story we're going to talk about on my show, and the big story I wish that all progressives in the media and moderate Democrats and anyone who treasures our democracy start talking about, is that we need the Democrats to step up and save our democracy. It has to be that clear. Save our democracy. And to me, it's a twofold approach. First is make voting rights the number one political issue to deal with in terms of legislation. Tomorrow, President Biden's going to give a speech on voting rights in Philadelphia. Great start. The question is, will there be follow-up besides that speech? We got a filibuster in the Senate. Unless President Biden calls for ending that filibuster, and I don't even know if that'll resolve it, but unless he calls for ending it and pressuring Joe Manchin and Sinema to at least carve out an exception to the filibuster for voting rights, well, nothing can pass on the federal level. Without that, there's nothing we can do. The worst part is we have the power and we can't do anything to defend our democracy. Where is Chuck Schumer? Where is Speaker Pelosi on this issue? And at least the House Democrats have passed the For the People Act. So it's got to be fair. The House, they passed it. I wish they would talk about it more now, but they passed it already. It's in the Senate. And what's Chuck Schumer focused on? A bipartisan infrastructure deal. Voting is everything. It is the lifeblood of our republic. Without it, nothing else matters. Any issue you care about, climate change, criminal justice reform, minimum wage, addressing the income inequality gap, you name it, unless we can vote, unless our vote counts, we have no voice. Nothing else matters. Voting is number one. That's how you protect our democracy. Democrats have to work on that every day, flood the media, talk about it all the time, how important this is, and make it clear what the GOP is doing is not normal. It is un-American. It is autocratic. It is fascist. It is an insult to every woman and man who sacrificed in our military fighting for our democracy. That's how bad it is. This is a war for it all in this country by the right. They have no problem destroying our democracy. They're inherently autocrats, which means they want a dictator, because that dictator will deliver what they want without checks and balance. That's why they love Donald Trump so much. So first, saving our democracy, making voting rights the number one issue, being creative about it, maybe talk about withholding federal aid to any state that passes voter suppression laws. You can condition federal aid to states as long as there's a logical connection between the aid and what you're trying to do in terms of policy. You can have a big infrastructure bill, and including that, election infrastructure. No funding at all. I know that's not something Democrats will talk about, but that's something Republicans would do to us all the time. Donald Trump did that. He wasn't the first. We have to do that. The stakes are too high. Second, saving our democracy, issue number two. Democrats calling in one loud voice for the criminal prosecution of Donald Trump. This is not lock him up. This is not like the Hillary Clinton chant. This is not the mirror of that. This is based on the reality of where we are. And I say this as an attorney. This makes no sense where we are. I honestly cannot comprehend it. Over 500 people are arrested for attacking the Capitol, for engaging in an act of domestic terrorism. That's what the FBI directors called it, an act of domestic terrorism, meaning everyone who attacked the Capitol was a terrorist. It's really clear. But the person who incited it, who radicalized people, who sent them there literally on January 6th to stop the steal, that man walks free. And now his lies are getting more dangerous. And while we will never buy his lies, he's trying his best now to, one, rewrite history. Two, he's literally copying the playbook of Adolf Hitler and Mussolini in making Ashley Babbitt, the woman who was killed, who was trying to storm into a secure area to lead the execution of anyone who was opposing Donald Trump. And that's why she was there. On social media, she was there for the storm. And in QAnon mythology, that is the day that Donald Trump would execute his political enemies. She was leading the charge, so to get in there to help execute, or at least cheer it on. That's this innocent woman who was killed. He's making her a martyr just like Hitler made the 16 Nazis killed in his coup attempt in 1923 martyrs. Donald Trump admires Adolf Hitler. We know this from recent reports and reports from years ago where his ex-wife said he kept a book of Hitler's speeches by his bedside. He understands autocracy. Donald Trump, he's not Hitler. It's not about that. We're not talking about a Holocaust. We're talking about a fascist assault on our democracy, though. And he's copying the playbook not by accident, but by design. So when I say the Democrats need to call for criminally prosecuting Donald Trump, it's because the evidence is overwhelming. He incited a riot. That is a federal crime. It happened on federal property. He used interstate communications. That is a federal crime. he incited an insurrection under the federal law for insurrection. Just inciting it is a felony. There's no doubt he incited that. Third, seditious conspiracy. Everything indicates that, well, we might be missing the linking evidence that there was a conspiracy in which an agreement, but the other two are pretty clear. Charge Trump. Let him stand trial in federal court, in front of a jury. If he is acquitted, I will live with it. I believe in our system. But he will be convicted. There's little doubt he will be convicted. He'll spend his last years in prison. That's where someone belongs who incited a terrorist attack. And let's be clear, if you incite a terrorist attack, you are a terrorist. Osama bin Laden was not on the planes on 9/11, but he was a terrorist. Donald Trump was literally watching the attack because he had just cheered it on. And it wasn't just that day, he did it for 2 months. How we can have a system of law where the man who incited and planned and orchestrated a terrorist attack on our capital walks free, yet all his supporters who did what he wanted go to jail, makes no sense. It is not partisan for calling for people who wage a terrorist attack on our capital to be criminally charged and prosecuted. We are not chanting lock him up. We are saying charge him for his crimes. The evidence is there to make the case. Let a jury decide it. So we'll talk about that more in my show today, but I'm telling you, the anger level among Democrats who call my show is mounting. Democrats will be primary this next year. They don't step it up on this, on voting and on calling for the prosecution of Donald Trump. It is that clear. These are the stakes. Our entire republic hangs in the balance. And we need more of the fierce urgency of now, as Martin Luther King talked about when it comes to the Democrats. So my show's live 6 to 9 p.m. on SiriusXM channel 127. If you don't subscribe to SiriusXM, just go to the website. There are free trials. Get the free trial. Click on my show, 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern, channel 127. Call in. Be a part of our family. We've got so much more work to do. If you want progress, stay active. Thanks for tuning in to the preview of tonight's Dino Bidala Show.